This is Bourbon Bets, where bottles of bourbon are wagered over the power of arguments put forth by two idiots regarding their stupid opinions. Afterward, their pet android determines the winner will post a most scientific poll so the audience can decide. They also drink bourbon together.
All right, welcome to a very special episode of Bourbon Bets. This is actually a Rejoinder episode where Blue Dolly and I will not actually be arguing. We will be arguing, but we'll be arguing with someone else instead of each other. And the topic for this episode is metric system.
Well, I think there is one thing we have to do before we go any further.
And what is that?
What are you drinking?
Oh, I am drinking nearly the last bit of my Angel's Envy.
Ooh, nice. I went cheap. I'm drinking just good old Maker's Mark.
It's solid. I mean, it's Friday night.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
All right. So as you were saying, there's a certain Twitter personality.
Well, that's how we were referred to by this certain Twitter personality, who has his own podcast now.
Well, kind of.
Kind of. I feel like he's sub-potting us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Everything we say.
Oh, maybe we'll have guests on the show. Maybe we'll do an episode on the metric system. Oh, look, somebody's already released the metric system show.
Yes, but it was a terrible episode. I mean, literally everything was wrong with that episode.
It's the truth. Well, no, he got one thing right. The aeration of flour.
Okay. Yes.
My baking has improved since I switched it. Oh wait, I didn't.
Oh, your cakes will be better now.
All your cakes belong to us.
All right. So the first problem with the metric system, I'll let you attempt this, is that it's French.
Yes, it was. It was created by the French during the French Revolution.
And one might actually say because of the French Revolution.
Well, as it is the Godless metric system, yes, I believe you could call it that. Yep, championed, in fact, by one Charles Maurice del Talleyrand Perigord.
You'd said that with like a Scottish accent.
I know, because I knew I couldn't pull off the French.
Charles Maurice de Talleyrand, and that's got one of those little squigglies over the E, so I don't know how you say that. Perigord.
It's like Perrier, but with gourds.
But his name is not the worst part about him.
Let's see. He invented the metric system after studying theology and being ordained, and he became the agent general of the clergy in 1780, and he represented the Catholic Church to the French crown. So, just before the French Revolution, he became the British. The British. Wow, Freudian slip. He became the Bishop of Autun.
So he's a bishop. He's a French
Catholic bishop. Championed the metric system.
Yeah, he didn't actually invent it, but he championed.
Yeah,
it.
the same thing.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Now the next problem is what it's actually called.
You mean the Système International de Units?
De units? It's always a question in French. What are we actually talking about here?
The International System of Units.
The International System. It very much sounds like the International Communist Revolution, the Workers' Uprising. It's got a very commie sound to it. It just doesn't, I don't know.
A very godless
commie. Yes. Godless
sound.
Commie. It's right. This is what the commies would use to measure their flour. Agreed.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, measure the non-aeration of their flour.
That's right. So I think we go through, and I'm not sure whether we should name this certain Twitter personality or not. We'll go through his points here, and we'll just refute each one of them easily. The first one was simplicity.
Okay, I have a question for you. If you were to measure something with no system of measurement, I mean, wouldn't you do something really simple like look at the human body and say, oh, that's about a hand across? Or
I
that's
use
a foot long.
I use bananas.
That might be better than metric. There's a story to tell there if you use bananas.
That's right.
Right. There's no story with this metric system.
I mean, I don't know what simplicity means. It's just as simple to say 1 cup of something or 1 foot or a pound.
Yeah, I think he made some argument about one weird word was equal to another weird word and is equal to a third weird word.
Well, so that's actually the opposite of simplicity because they had like 8 words for the same measurement.
That's what it seemed like to me, yeah.
So I'm not a fan of that. It doesn't seem simple, seems complex.
I don't have a graduated cylinder to measure it in, so I'm not sure.
I don't even know where you would buy a graduated cylinder. I mean, I just buy measuring cups personally, but so the next thing he said was that it's ingenious.
Oh, wait, that might have been where he made the argument about the weird words.
It's ingenious.
I don't know.
That there's that many words for the same thing? Okay.
But maybe the simplicity was that there's 10 of everything. Or 1 of everything. Or 10 of every other thing.
We'll get to that shortly. The 10 of everything. All right, this one I really have to take issue with. More precision. First of all, I believe he's using the word precision incorrectly here.
Yes.
It has an actual scientific definition, and weighing flour is not precision.
Well, I have a question for you. Does flour no longer have a weight in ounces?
No,
we can't do that now.
Once
there's a button. You know what? I have a scale, and on my scale, there's this weird button, and I used to think if I hit this button, magic must occur because
0
somehow. No, not the 0. The button that switches from the metric system to the imperial.
The Godless metric system.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yes. Well, apparently once Maurice de Talleyrand got this law passed, which is what happened in France, they basically told all of the stupid peasants to stop using the systems of measurement they'd used for hundreds of years and get on board and use this one that the government came up with.
The Catholic Church. Government.
Church. But same thing.
Coordinated.
So, yes, the more precision is just a fallacious argument. And just like whatever he said, there's a pound or a kilogram per deciliter or something. I don't know about flour, how you measure it in the Godless metric system. But we have a saying in the imperial system, which is a pint's a pound the world around. So we have this ability to do the same measurement regardless of the volume. So,
hey, I got a question for you because I don't see this on your list here. What did the Romans use to measure distance?
Oh, I think they had measurements that were based on the human body.
Yeah, and I believe they also had miles.
They had miles.
Isn't that? It's weird.
No kilometers.
Huh.
Strange.
Funny.
Now, this nameless podcaster also did concede that when it gets to temperature, everything's out the window.
It's true.
He still thinks in terms of Fahrenheit because why would you think in terms of Celsius or centigrade? Apparently, it's not actually precise enough to have only 100 degrees from freezing to boiling. The human mind doesn't work that way. When you say it's like 37 degrees, like, is that good? It doesn't sound bad. I mean, I don't know what that is.
That sounds like it's 5 degrees above freezing.
It does. It really does. Then the argument was made that it's easier to remember 100 than 212.
I don't understand that.
They have the same number of digits.
Yep.
They're the same order of magnitude.
At least 212 is the same forwards and backwards.
Now, here's something I want to point out. That's right. You could accidentally switch the zeros and the 1 and you'd really be messed up. Now, I want to point out that Celsius is not even the base unit in the metric system. It's Kelvin.
Yep.
They derived Celsius way later, in like the 40s or the 50s. So my requirement is that if someone is so staunchly for the metric system, they should measure everything in Kelvin.
That's perfect. That's exactly how it should be.
So instead of saying, hey, Bob, what's the temperature outside? Don't say 85 degrees. That's Fahrenheit, right? And don't even say whatever the stupid Celsius version is. You need to say it's 302.594 kelvins, all right?
I think
that is precise.
We should wrap this discussion up quickly, though, because my tires are a little low, and I need to go put a whole bunch of Newton meters in there.
Yes, I would actually like to know how much power your engine has, and if you could give that to me in joules per second, that would be great.
I can. Let me find a British person.
If you want to call them watts, that's fine. But I've never seen anybody. This is a European standard. I don't even think I've ever seen this in Europe, where anyone measures their horsepower in watts. Come on. I mean, how do you torque the lug nuts down? How many joules is that?
Yeah.
Here's a fun one. What size burger patty do you want? 113.3 grams. It's delicious. And maybe my favorite one is I'm going to go build a wall, and I need to get some lumber. What size lumber do I use? 38 by 89 millimeters. Now, I actually did look at this one, and apparently
2x4 is not easier than 38 by 43 or whatever you said.
But apparently, in most of them, America is the only country that has not adopted the metric system. So, in basically every other English-speaking country, they still use 2x4, and they don't use metric.
Of course,
any of the lumber.
Because it's ridiculous.
Because it's ridiculous. That's right. Now, we do use amps and we do use watts, right?
Yeah.
So we're already partially metric, and we do use liters to measure our bourbon. So I don't want to hear any more about we're not metric here, okay?
Yeah, we're reaching out.
That's right.
That's the thing. He doesn't appreciate that.
We have bridged the divide, but it's just never good enough for these metric bigots.
Well, I also have a real problem with the idea that, there's no history. There's no narrative. There's no connection to our shared past. There's no humanity to the metric system.
It is a godless system. I agree.
It is. I think in denying the human about it, you're denying those created in the image of God, and thus godless metric system.
I mean, it was created out of thin air by the government. So, what do you expect? Now, just to point out how ridiculous it would be if the metric people got their way fully. So seconds is technically a metric unit, which is ridiculous. But they actually tried at one point to extend the division by 10 into the time.
Yep.
So they wanted to have, minutes that were 100 seconds and days that were 10 hours and like ridiculous things like that. Would have meant recarving the world up so that there were no more 24 time zones. I mean, just like craziness. That's what you would get if you really adopted the metric system. So even the metric purists did not get their way, fortunately, and they're actually using the correct measurements today.
So what I'd like to say to that Twitter personality is, I don't want to say the typical American, you can, have my imperial units when you pry them from. No, instead I'd like to say, I will start the metric system as soon as we have worldwide use of Esperanto.
You know what? I think that's not right, because there's nothing wrong with Esperanto because no one tried to shove it down everybody else's throat.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I think we'll end there. I think we've fully refuted this nonsense about metric, yes. And if anybody has any comments, please feel free to tweet at us.
Unless you're pro metric system, then just don't.
Then we will just block you and report you. Or go to bourbonbets.com and click on the message link and leave us a voice message. And if you're for the metric system there, we will probably play it on air and mock you mercilessly. Thanks for listening.
We love you, Baba. We love you.
Don't bother looking for us on Facebook, but do follow us on Twitter at bourbon_bets and add us to your favorite podcast app. We're on all the ones that count. If you wish to tell us how wrong we are, please visit bourbonbets.com,
Stupid droid.
bourbonbets.com, and leave a voice message for us. We thanks.